This is now the 4th time I filmed this video because I kept on getting low storage without realizing it and completing the video. And then my fan was in the background and it ruined all the audio because it's so loud. So now I am going to film this video. So in this video, I will be reading some of my poems from my 2 poetry books, The Chaos Within by Zoey Rachelle and Calm Within Chaos, also by Zoey Rachelle. And I'm going to be reading the poems and kind of sharing the meaning and my interpretation of them, because I feel like sometimes the meaning can get lost in the sense of like my interpretation of the poem can be completely different from your interpretation. Sometimes that causes negative reactions. You know, you don't like what you interpreted it as. I don't know if that was in your way. I'm trying to keep the curtains from like blocking the camera's view. But I don't know if sorry, my kitten's causing noises in the background and it's starting to rain. But regardless, we're going to get through this together. But that can cause a lot of issues of people like, why would you write a poem about this? And it wasn't even what I was meaning it to be at all. And so today I'm going to read 6 different poems from my 2 books. And so let's get on to the first one in book 1. Okay, but in book 1, The Chaos Within, page 159, says that with time I have realized that no one really cares. This may sound harsh, but it holds a large amount of truth. People do not pay attention to the change of your appearance any more than they do the difference in your behavior. They are not attentive to small details that you deem significant, and they do not care to notice large changes in your personality either, though I have found that the idea of this is to be a little freeing, because if no one cares about me, then why should I care about their impossible expectations? Live your life how you want to live it. So this poem I was kind of scared to publish. A lot of them I was kind of hesitant and fearful, but with this one it's basically saying that no one cares. And so I was scared that people would interpret that as like, I'm paranoid that this is in your way and that you're seeing this curtain, and like I've had enough issues with this freaking camera. Oh my god, I just attracted my kitten. That's not good. Buddy, you don't need to be. This is my kitten. I don't even know if I've shown him to you yet because I've shown him to you like 4 times already. That poem basically says that no one cares, and I was scared that people were going to be like, oh, no one cares about me, that type of thing, and like think negatively in response to that poem. But honestly, like I had a few efforts with this poem. One effort was like, people don't pay attention to the changes of your appearance or the difference in your behaviors. They don't pay attention to little things. The large amount of people don't, like maybe the people closest to you do. He's being loud. But regardless, so it's kind of trying to say like, don't overthink it. You know, like I was definitely the kid who was scared to cut her hair in the middle of the school year because I didn't want people to know, and I didn't want people to like think and address it. And so it's basically just like, stop overthinking the little things type of deal. You know, like that sounds kind of aggressive, low-key, but like people aren't paying it, like the grand population isn't paying attention to the little things about you. And so you should stop paying attention to them and stop stressing over them and just live your life, you know? And then the second part of this is, so people don't pay attention to you, and the people that don't pay attention to you, the people that don't care, why are you prioritizing the way that they think you should live your life? Like a lot of people have opinions of like, oh, you should do this, you should do that, you shouldn't do this, you should go into this, you know, this is what you should do with your life. And I think that like, if these are people who aren't even prioritizing you and aren't even noticing anything about you, and they don't care, why do you care about their expectations? Why do you care what they want you to how they want you to live? Because in all reality, it doesn't matter how anyone else wants you to live. It is your life to live. It is yours. Regardless of what anyone else thinks or says, it's yours. You get to choose how you want to live your life, what you want to do whenever you get older, that type of thing. So yeah, that was kind of my efforts with this poem. Also, I think I've already, actually, I don't even know if I've already addressed this, but it is raining outside. So if you can hear that, I hope it's a peaceful, lovely background noise of rain and not like interference with the sound quality. So this is page 195. It says, I wish you could see yourself the way I see you, because you don't understand the amount of significance you hold. Just like how the sun doesn't know that its light causes the moon to shine. Just like how the stars don't know that they brighten up the night's dark sky. I wish you could see yourself the way I could see you. the way I see you, because maybe then you would understand how bright you truly shine. To my ride or die. So this poem is kind of depressing, yet also beautiful, and it's kind of bittersweet vibes. So the poem I originally wrote as like kind of a letter to someone who will never read it type of thing, to my best friend, basically saying, like, this was probably, judging by where I was in the book, like I was probably about 16 whenever I wrote this. And so if you think about it, like, I mean, especially in high school, even younger and older than that, like, people are just generally very insecure. But like, I mean, if you think about teenage girls, like, that is an era of your life that it's very, very lot of insecurities. It's a very hard era. And so this was basically me telling her that, like, you are beautiful. And even though you focus on your flaws, even though you can't see your significance, and even though you can't see how beautiful you are right now, just know that you are. And the way I see you is beautiful, and I wish that you could see yourself the way I see you. And so that's kind of not only to her, but it was to everyone else too. It's like the people around you, they see you differently than you see yourself. Like, they think that you are beautiful, that you are an amazing person. And you simply focus on all the little flaws about yourself that you can find. Some of which you find flaws where they aren't, you know? And so this is basically like, recognize the fact that your pros about you, about your personality and appearance, very much outweigh the cons, and that you are beautiful and that other people see you that way. And it'd be good if you could develop that view for yourself, you know? And it also is kind of depressing because this was written to someone that I'm not really close to anymore. And so to my ride or die, it's one of those things, like, I think I posted a video about this not too long ago, about, also there's like this small little bug that's just flying around, like, my bad if you can see that. But regardless, this is, I posted a video not too long ago about how, like, writing poetry books is kind of like depressing in a sense, because it's like you see how much your life changes and how much the people around you change, and, you know, you grow apart, you grow together type of thing. And so this is one of the phases in my life where I'm like, oh, I'm so glad that I had that relationship, like friendship. I'm so glad that we cared about each other so much, but now, you know, we're not friends anymore and we're not close, and that's okay type of vibe. But yeah, moving on to the third poem. The third poem is on page 289, and it says, I feel like my life has become a routine, and while this may be beneficial, providing part of my mind the structure it requires, the other part has fallen into darkness. The same thing that grants me structure also creates an endless loop that fuels a cycle of numbness inside me. I don't know what to do when my mind panics without the structure it craves, yet also drops down into the depths of depression when the same structure becomes too routine. So this is basically like addressing the contradictions within my mind, and I don't know if, obviously there are other people who feel this way about themselves, but I don't know if this is like a universal experience or this is just a select few people. I'm INFJ, maybe personality types have something to do with it, maybe it's mental health, I don't know. I don't really know. But I did write a poem in the past, I don't know which book it was in, but it was basically saying that, like, I feel like my mind is based upon contrast, and this is kind of addressing the same idea, but like pinpointing it on one idea and one topic, which is routine. And so I am very much a severely anxious girl. I need routine, I need structure, I need to know what's going to happen in the future as far as like what I'm going to do the next day. I don't like changes, I don't like things to be like random and sporadic, within reason, of course. Like a little bit of sporadic opportunities is fine, but for the most part I need to know what is going to happen, or it like stresses me out. But at the same time, the second that becomes a routine, it creates this endless loop, you know, every day looks the same, and then it gets depressing, and then, you know, your mood gets low. And so it's kind of like addressing the fact that it's so hard to like balance that, and addressing the fact that, like, you know, not even just that is happening, like there's a bunch of just contradictions that it's hard to like balance and manage. And I don't know if that's a mental health thing or if it's just like everyone feels that to some extent type of thing. But yeah, this was random, and maybe you can relate to it, maybe you don't, but it's just something that I felt. And book one in general is just basically me starting out writing poetry because I needed a release. I needed somewhere, it's kind of like a diary entry type of deal. I needed somewhere to like put my emotions and my feelings and like my mental issues or whatever. Not only that, but I've learned that I don't always know what I'm feeling until I write it down on paper and read it out. And so this was basically me on a journey to like figure out what was wrong with me in a sense, what was stressing me out, what, whatever. So yeah, this one's basically mental health. It has some friendship aspects, some relationships as far as like, maybe it's a relationship that's more negative than positive. Maybe it's a great relationship. Maybe it's losing relationships, losing friends or whatever. So yeah, that's book one. Now let's move on to book two. So book two is also addressing mental health. Both of them are kind of low-key depressing and pessimistic, to be honest. My poetry can be very pessimistic, and I don't always think that way. It's just like I write my poems whenever I'm feeling in either a very negative mood or a very positive mood, but I'm rarely writing positive poems, and so it can come across as very pessimistic. But just so you know, like, these poems aren't me. Like, they are me, they are parts of me, but like, even reading my poetry, even watching my videos, you don't know everything about me. They're 30-second clips. They're literally a page poetry. Like, this isn't my entire personality, but it is just a part of me that I really want to share and that I know that people can relate to, and I want to show people that they're not alone in it. That was a really long rant for no reason, but this, up to the mental health, it also has friendships, losing friendships, kind of like feeling lonely positively and negatively, I guess. It also addresses religious deconstruction. It also addresses like my view of people and like little negative things that like really stress me out or like are bothersome, and also society, things about society that I don't understand that I wish would change. Why it's so horrible and negative and why people hate each other so much for no reason, honestly. But regardless, that's basically the themes of book two. That I won't get into all of them because obviously I just have 3 poems to read out today. But regardless, let's get into the first one. So, the first poem says, "Sometimes I feel like ever since I was a child, I was conditioned to believe that the sky was pink. And now that I've gotten older, I have learned that I actually believe the sky is green. And now my whole family believes in the pink sky, along with all my friends and every person that I meet. And I know that my belief in the green sky will cause those I care about to cast me away. I know I'm an outsider, but I also know I will never go back to accepting the beliefs I blindly followed before. One of us may be right, both of us may be wrong, but regardless, I am scared to admit to others the idea that I truly believe. I'm scared that my belief in the green sky will take away the people in my life who keep me from finding out for myself which of us is actually right. An outsider's fear of abandonment." So this poem is basically addressing religious deconstruction. I was very, very hesitant of putting this theme and this poem into my book. This was, this was whenever I first started the book. I was 17. Over the next 2 years, I published it whenever I was 19, which I am 19 right now, if you didn't know. So I recently published it, but over the next 2 years, I got kind of looser. I didn't really care as much what people thought of me. I put in more obvious religious deconstruction poems in there, but I was very hesitant to put anything about religion just because I didn't want people to think that I was attacking their beliefs, and I didn't want anyone to think that like was being arrogant in the sense that I think I'm right and everyone else is wrong and religion's like negative, because it isn't. It's just I don't believe in it, and that's okay type of thing. Yeah, I decided to put some religious deconstruction in there just because whenever I was struggling with religious stress, I guess you could say, like a lot of issues there, there were creators online that helped me a lot, watching their videos, and it basically showed me that I wasn't alone and that I wasn't alone in feeling this. And even though everyone in my life and everyone around me believed the same thing and were very religious, it doesn't mean that the entire world is like that. And there are people who think like me, and it's okay for your religion to change or for your religion to just drop out of your life whenever you get older. You don't have to believe your entire life. You are allowed to change beliefs. You know, you don't have to believe in the same religion. You can swap religions, that type of thing. Like, people change, things change, but also sometimes things stay the same. You know, sometimes you don't change. Sometimes you believe for your whole life the thing that you grew up believing, and that's okay too. But yeah, I made this one purposefully vague just because I was scared not only of people seeing it and judging, people thinking of coming across as like negative, and like attacking, but I also was scared for people I know to see this, just because people I know read these books. They know that I publish these books, and I didn't want them to know this, / they don't fully know this, but regardless, this poem, I basically said that like the religious ideals that I had when I was a kid made me believe that the sky was pink. And now that I've lost my belief and that I'm not religious anymore, now I believe the sky is green. And so I was paranoid because green is closer to blue, and so it's closer to the truth. And I didn't want people to think that because I just chose 2 random colors. Pink came out first, the next one I thought of was green. I didn't want to choose blue because I didn't want either of us to be right. But yeah, that was just random paranoia rant. Regardless, and then it's basically saying that, like, everyone I know, everyone I love believes in the pink sky, and I'm scared that me believing in the green sky, me not having faith anymore, is going to make others think negatively of me / not want me in their life anymore, being a bad influence type of thing. And that's more my paranoia than anything, and fear that will happen. I don't know. I don't think that it will. It might. I don't know. But it was just kind of like addressing that concern, I guess. And this poem was also trying to address the fact that, like, if you are feeling this way, if you are struggling with religion, losing faith, you're not alone, and it's okay, and things are going to be okay, and you will figure it all out eventually. You don't have to stress about it. You don't have to worry about it. You can table it for a little bit and just stop thinking about it altogether, and then come back to it later when you're more mentally ready, mentally prepared to address it. But know that you're not alone, and you're not the only one feeling this way, and that there are others like you. So yeah, that was my efforts with this poem. Then on to page 206, which is the second poem I'm going to be reading from the second book. And it says, "The turtle and the hare met when they were young. They quickly became friends and spent their years becoming closer and closer until you could hardly tell the two apart. Though with time the hare grew faster while the turtle slowed in pace. Before they knew it, they had become miles and miles apart. It isn't the hare's fault that the turtle couldn't keep up, just like it isn't the turtle's fault that the hare's energy exhausted him. It just is what it is. It's not either of their faults that they've grown apart. Perhaps they were just always destined to split. The turtle simply waved goodbye and wished the hare the best." So earlier I read off a poem about me saying that you are beautiful, and even though you don't see yourself that way, I wish you could see yourself the way I see you, to my ride or die. So this, in book 2, is addressing falling out of friendship with the person about that poem and no longer being my ride or die, I guess. And it's basically trying to kind of explain my side of the story and kind of wishing the person the best. It's kind of another similar idea of the vibe of like a letter to someone who's never gonna read it. And it's kind of this situation, like, I don't know the other person's perspective. I don't know outside perspectives at all. I just know that my perspective. And so this is kind of addressing that and explaining that, I guess. And so basically in this poem, I'm the turtle and they're the hare. And it's basically saying that we became friends when we were young and we grew closer and closer. But eventually, over the years, the hare grew faster while the turtle slowed in pace. And they became miles and miles apart. That's showing distance, and showing how we began to grow apart. And it says that the turtle couldn't keep up. So I'm someone who likes very, very calm energy. I need things to be calm. I need there to be no conflict. I need there to be no anger, no drama, no negativity, because it just stresses me out. I need things to be calm and peaceful. And then it talks about the hare's energy. The hare's energy exhausted him, and it's not either of their faults. It just is what it is. So the hare, if you could think, it's basically what a lot of people are at this age, you know? They're very excited. They're very energetic. They are finally living their adult life, I guess you could say. Not that, I mean, we're adults, but like young adults, we're finally have freedom and like all this, and we're excited and living very, very, like, I don't know how to describe it, energetically, I guess you could just say. Big groups of people, big groups of friends, constantly going out, like always going, like very energetic. And that's great, and that's what a lot of people are like, and that's beautiful, you know. But it's just, there's a difference in personality there, and it wasn't an energy that I could handle, and it caused us to grow apart. And then it basically ends saying it's not either of our faults. It was just, perhaps they were just always destined to split. The turtle simply waved goodbye and wished they her the best. And so that kind of leads into the point of, like, in my perspective, neither of us are at fault. I don't know other perspectives, obviously. But I don't think that either of us are really at fault. Sorry, I need to check this because I heard a noise. Okay, it's still recording. Thank God. And the turtle simply waved goodbye and wished they her the best. It's just like, I wish you well. You know, we grew apart. Things change. People change. And I hope that life works out great for you. That type of thing. And so it's kind of depressing because it's like, throughout my whole first book, I'm talking about my ride or die, my platonic soulmate, my other half, you know, my son. And there's all these poems. And then you get to book 2 and suddenly the sun fell out of my sky. And the turtle and the hare parted ways. And the turtle wished the hare the best. And so it kind of shows a progression of life there, you know, a progression of relationships. People come and people go, and that's okay. Some people grow apart, and we'll continue to live. The world will continue to spin, you know, it'll be okay. So this is kind of trying to address this situation and get closure, I guess. That's what this poem is kind of attempting, you know, just trying to get closure with how we grew apart, and that everything's going to be okay. It's okay. People grow apart. It's fine. But regardless, that was a really long, unnecessary rant. But let's move on to the third poem. So the third poem, I really hope I'm in frame and this is straight because I haven't even really fully checked it. Like, I'm filming with my back camera, and it's like, unless I like tape a mirror to my window, which I honestly tried doing and it didn't work, like I can't see the frame. And this is like the 4th time I'm filming this, so hopefully you can see me okay, and you can hear me okay. But regardless, the last poem that I'm going to be reading is on page 280. There's a bug in here. I don't know if I've already said that, you know, but there is a bug in here. And just ignore it, it's fine. He's chill with us. He's enjoying the poetry. But page 280 says, some people are driven by curiosity, desperate to learn all they can about society. Though learning often leads to losing all of the things he used to believe, leads to realizing that soulmates, love, destiny, and afterlife are all no different from the Christmas magic we used to believe in as kids. That love stories and Bible stories hold the same weight in your mind as fairy tales. Oftentimes, curiosity and the drive to learn multiple perspectives of every view and situation leads to the loss of everything you have been taught to think, every comforting lie you once believed to be true. Yes. So this poem is basically, it's kind of similar to the poem about religious deconstruction, except it's addressing, like, as you grow older, you know, you change, your beliefs change, and so sometimes you lose a lot or all that you believe. And so this is basically addressing, like, the lack of belief in soulmates and love and destiny, the idea that everything's meant to be and everything happens for a reason, which is honestly my least favorite quote, by the way. Everything happens for a reason. But regardless, and also the loss of believing in an afterlife, you know, you're not being religious anymore. And yeah, it's basically just losing everything you're taught to believe. And so this is a very pessimistic poem. I address that, and I don't feel this way all of the time, but it's basically just me kind of expressing the idea that, like, as you grow up, things change, your perspective change, your beliefs change, and sometimes you do end up losing everything that you believe, losing your religion, losing your faith in love, and that type of thing. And, you know, maybe that will change. Maybe I will adopt a religion someday. I don't think that I will. I don't ever imagine myself, just because I'm very, very content with where I am right now, and I'm very happy and at peace. But I guarantee you the love thing will change. Eventually, like, maybe I won't believe in soulmates or destiny, but I do think that I will eventually grow to accept and believe that love is real and that there are good relationships out there and that, you know, whatever, not that I've seen, but regardless, it's basically just a pessimistic poem, just like about the loss of everything you believe, which is extremely repetitive for no reason. But it's also, I wanted to address, like, I end it with like the loss of everything you've been taught to think, every comforting lie you once believed to be true. And so I was hesitant to put this in there just because, again, every comforting lie you were taught to believe, I don't want people to think of that as like me calling all of it a lie, like love, destiny, afterlife, religion a lie, because it's basically just expressing in my mind that I view it as something people believe out of comfort and that it's not true. But that's not saying that I have all the answers and that I'm right and you're wrong, because a lot of people believe in that stuff and to them it is true. To me, it's not true. You know, everyone is right and wrong at the same time, you know, and so that's not, I'm not trying to, I need to check this again, but I'm not trying to attack anyone's beliefs. I'm not trying to say that you're wrong, because you're not. It's just simply just me expressing what's going on in my head. So yeah, in all of these poems, especially the religious ones, I'm not trying to attack. I'm not trying to say that I'm right. I'm simply just expressing what I believe. Like, this is talking about the loss of religion and you don't believe in love anymore, in hopes that like there's someone out there who's feeling that way and is feeling lost and is able to relate and is able to appreciate the fact that I wrote this poem and published it so that they could read it and know that they're not alone. And so that is my effort in a lot of these poems, especially like putting them into a book and publishing it and sharing these poems, is in hopes that like people know that they're not alone in the way that they feel and the things that they're experiencing. But so that was the last poem. I've read 6 poems from my 2 books, The Chaos Within and Calm Within Chaos, both on Amazon. Self-published author through Amazon, Zoey Rachelle. Regardless, I can definitely do this again in the future if you would like me to. You can also say you have my poetry books, you're someone who's been following along with me on this poetry journey, then you can put in the comments, you know, pages or poems, you know, whatever that you want me to explain my experiences of and you want me to show my perspective and what I wrote them about. Maybe you don't know anything about my poetry books and this is the first time you're watching my videos, or maybe you've been watching my videos and you just don't have my book. Then you can put down a random page number, and book 1 or book 2, The Chaos Within, Calm Within Chaos, and I will definitely read out that poem for you and just explain it, you know, maybe randomized. If you recommended a poem, then I can screenshot your comment and put your comment and your username in the video. I unfortunately don't know how to tag people, so I can't tag you in the video, but I can put your comment on the screen and like show the peeps like, this is the user, this is the page number, and yay, that type of thing. I would love to do that. Also, if you have any ideas for future videos, whenever I post this video, I will have posted a Q&A video about a week ago, I assume. And so I want to do a part 2 to that. So if you have any questions, maybe it's about poetry, maybe it's about book publishing. I self-published through Amazon. Maybe it is about writing in general. You know, like I write realistic fiction type of books. Like I write those type of things for fun in my spare time. Like nothing that I ever plan to publish, but I write books like that in my spare time for funsies. And so I can give you advice on that. Maybe it's not even about writing. Maybe it's about mental health. Maybe it's about mental wellness, you know, self-love, self-care, confidence. I've not talked about that much at all. However, and I'm not a psychologist and I'm not an expert. However, I have experienced those things and I have experienced a lot of mental health issues. And so if you have questions about that, if you need advice, whatever, I would be happy to answer those questions. If you have any topic ideas, maybe it is about mental health or confidence or self-love, you want me to make a video about something as far as that, or you want me to make a video about something as far as writing or poetry publishing, put that down below and I will definitely make a video over it. I would love to hear your suggestions and to record videos like that for you so that you can watch them and so other people who also want to watch them can enjoy them as well. So yes, if you have any ideas, please put them down in the comments below. And thank you so much for watching this, and I hope you have an amazing day.